So I've just finished my third week of prep, which is my heaviest week of training, my final heavy SPD before competition. I'll still have another SPD on the Thursday before competition. It's just a normal training week, but that will be scaled back a little bit to allow for a bit more of a taper than I usually do. My body's not feeling the best after coming in and kind of going straight into 4 week peak essentially, and pushing pretty hard through that to try get myself up to a level where I think I can be competitive. I finished my final heavy training week with 310, 180, and 330. Now, if anyone's watched last week's, I did 182 in week 2, and then I've gone down 2.5 kilos. And the 180, play it on screen now, obviously, it was good, but it was disappointingly slow. Like, I probably could have gone up to 185 there, but it wouldn't have been worth it. It would have been the RP10 kind of grind. And it's a little bit disappointing considering how well it had been going on, my maybe just made up expectations of how well it was going to go, and it just hasn't achieved that. And it's still a very good place to be considering I've spent 7 weeks not benching. It feels like I still add to that every time, but 7 weeks not benching, a couple of weeks of reverse bands, and into a peak. And I'm still disappointed with benching 180. Like, I can't be too mad at it, but I probably need to recognize it's still a very good place to be. It's just not where I think I need to be competitive. And that's kind of the issue for me, is that's not where I want it to be. And it just means I'm going to have to open lighter than I think I will. I've had to change a little bit of programming this week. Nothing too major, not kind of panicking or anything like that. It's more just, okay, I probably need a bit more of a taper than I thought I did because I'm a little bit cooked. I thought I'd be absolutely fine. I've not been, so I need to adjust. Taking down the reps, keeping that intensity pretty high still, but just bringing down the reps. And squats went pretty well last week, so I should have a lot of confidence going into it. Started off the week with a 290 double, then squatted 290 again for my primer, I think. Sounds about right. And then into my primary day where I squatted 310 for a single. And my mum said it's not the most comfortable she's ever seen me lift, but it was still a good squat. Like, it's 310 kilos moving pretty well. There's a little bit of pain still there, but nothing crazy. I think you can just see that I'm not moving how I have previously, but equally I don't move the same as I did then. My body's a little bit of a different shape, like leverages have changed a little bit. And I'm just not as comfortable under the bar as I was when I was a little bit bigger, around the midsection. I'm still not small around the midsection, but like when I'm 108 kilos most of the time, and without having been doing a bunch of cardio, my midsection is a lot wider, a lot more stacked. And if you talk to anyone who squats a lot, when their midsection gets bigger, it's so much easier to squat a lot of weight. Like, so much easier. People who have this like perfect like V taper and still manage to squat loads are like insane to me. Like Jaden Osumwingi, the fact that he can lift that much weight with a waist that is like this is crazy. Like, when he fills out, like, he's gonna squat so much weight, and he already does, but like as that midsection gets thicker, you just get stronger on squats. And so I'm feeling the effects of being a little bit skinnier, a little bit less stable, a little bit less kind of rigid during the squats. But still 310 moving really well. Kind of on track with where I thought I would be, what I thought I'd be able to do, which is pretty nice. It's nice to be able to nail that for this, I guess. We'll see on the day how it goes. But for prep, it's landed pretty much how I thought it would and what I thought I'd be capable of. I'm going to bring in a little taper for squats as well. Lower back was a little bit cooked coming into it. Everything was cooked, basically. My recovery scores, things like that. Like, resting heart rate keeps trending up. HRV keeps trending down. Sleep's getting a little bit worse. And it's like, okay, I probably need to take a step back. And I did go to rugby training twice last week. But it was really fun. But I'm not going to train this week. I was like, I'm going to go because we're doing some line-out stuff and kind of changing that, and I want to be a part of that. But I'm not going to actually train. I'm not going to run around. I'm just going to go and stand there in the cold, and maybe throw some line-outs and kind of hopefully add to that for the team. And then finally on deadlifts, I deadlifted 330 kilos, which is probably the best I've done in God knows how long. Like, I pulled 340 before Northerns, and it was all right. It wasn't great, it was still 340. Like, obviously, it's still fantastic, but like how it moved, I wasn't particularly happy with. And it's a little bit soft, and you can see that things are a little bit off with it, and it wasn't particularly comfortable. And I pulled 330, and I was like, that's not too bad. Like, that's not too bad at all. Like, it's the range that I need to be there is, or I think that I will need, is there. Like, there's a chance that it's going to be out of reach, but I think it's within range that I'll be able to pull what I need to pull. I need to take a slightly different strategy to previously have on deadlifts, but I think it's going to be really good. A little taper on the 3-2-1, just taking it to 2-1-1 instead of 3-2-1 on my secondary day, keeping the weights exactly the same as last week. Something that's a pretty common taper method at the moment. So that intensity doesn't really drop, but the reps go down. It's happy days. It should be really good for my deadlift. And it's the week 5 planned off that 5-week peak. And it's usually, so what I would have with Mike is week 1 would be, week 2 would be, week 3 would be amazing, and week 4 would kind of match it. And what I've had in this is that week 1 was, week 2 was better, week 3 was better, week 4, which was last week for deadlifts, the 330 was better. And I'm like, well, I'm just on this run, so either I do this or I go up is what's going to happen. And that's what's happened in the 5-week peaks before, is that week 5 has been really strong. And so that's where I'm putting all my eggs for. But deadlift was really good last week. The secondary day was good. It wasn't great, but it was really good overall as a week, as a lift. Very successful. I'm happy with where that is. So we've got 820, which is 10 kilos below what I wanted, with that 10 kilos missing on bench. Everything else pretty much went to plan. So I couldn't really ask for more than that. With body weight being low, rugby training twice in the week, it's pretty damn good place to be. And although I know I'm not nowhere near, but I'm not going to be capable of reaching kind of 877, 875 like totals I've done in the past. Like, I think I will still be able to lift enough. And I want to beat kind of the total elite Euros, because that was 840 some, and I very much should be able to beat that. Like, I'd have to miss a couple of lifts to not do that, in my opinion, in my head. But I feel like I'm in a good place for it, which is nice to be able to say after, and still being able to play rugby at the same time, run around, do these other things, and not just be so like tunnel vision on powerlifting as I have been for so many years, and still be able to perform this well. And like, it's taking a bunch to be able to do it, like in terms of pain tolerance, in terms of like what I'm having to do at rugby, kind of managing everything, like changing things to look after my body, like different accessories, different amounts of cardio, like all of these things coming into play. And I'm trying to be at my max strength while still being able to output pretty well in the rugby field, like technically as well. Being able to scrummage, being able to do all these other things that come in and fatigue me at the same time. And to be able to be in a position where I've done 820 as my 1 week out, which is 2.5 kilos more than I did pre-Northerns, when I was like pretty much all powerlifting. It's great. And obviously I've done 875 the week before comp before, but then totaled 865. And I'm in a place where I'm like, at this stage, like, this will be my 20th meet from memory. And how cool is it that my 20th meet is Open Nationals, at a point where I'm still in contention for podiuming, in my opinion anyway. Some people might think I can't, but I have a good feeling. I just think it's very cool that my 20th meet would be that. It's a very nice thing to be able to do, and to be able to prove to myself that I can not just powerlift and be kind of a more well-rounded athlete. Like, there's still a lot to go for me to actually be a well-rounded athlete, but more of a well-rounded athlete than I was when get out of breath walking up the stairs. Like, it's a huge change. And I've really enjoyed doing it. So I'm glad I've done it. Yeah, it was pretty risky, but it seems like it's paid off for now. So the week as a whole has been really good, and it's left me in a great position to come into competition feeling pretty strong. Not the strongest I've ever been, but I've only taken 2 ibuprofen this whole prep, which is pretty new. Like, usually there's a whole lot more ibuprofen coming on board, but I've been pretty strict with myself in saying that I can't just slip back into like old habits of, well, I need Abaniki to do this, I need, ibuprofen for this, I need paracetamol for this. And I'm not saying that I was absolutely abusing painkillers or anything like that, but there's something that's very helpful when it gets deeper into prep. It's something that you can use to your advantage, right? Like, 'cause my knees used to be so beat up by all the heavy squatting, and at the moment my knees feel absolutely fine. And it's very strange. I know I've not accumulated as much workload as I would have before, but to be moving better, I guess, in that sense, you can kind of claim that because they're not hurting as much and not needing to use painkillers for these things. Like, I took 2 ibuprofen on Saturday because I found them in my bag, and I was like, I'm probably going to need them today. I'm super anxious for the lifting. Like, it's just funny, the anxiety before squats. Like, I don't get it before anything else, nothing else. I don't really care. Not that I don't care about it, like powerlifting. I've got to care about them. Squats is like that major thing for me that I enjoy and I want to do really well on. And I remember getting ibuprofen out of my bag, being like, yes, this will be so good for today. Popped a couple, like, checked, because I have my Garmin on my wrist, checked my heart rate after walking to the gym, and just, I've been sat down for like 4 minutes at that point, and my heart rate was like 115, 120. And I was like, I'm pretty anxious for this. Like, I need to chill out for a bit before I start doing anything, kind of slow down, find my rhythm, and then get into it a bit more. But just those moments now that I could have never done, 2-3 years ago. I'd have been still like going 100 mph, trying to beat my anxiety for lifting by going faster. So I can outrun it, I can do it faster and get through it. When it's done, then there's no more anxiety, and just run away from it rather than actually managing it, which leaves me in a much better position to be able to squat and not panic about these things. And I feel like that kind of growth in the last week, where I've had to put up weights, squatting 290 for 2 with no spots, 290 again with no spots, like, it's not big, it's not cool, right, to do it without spots, because I know I'm capable of it and I don't need them for that. And it's a huge confidence booster to be able to do that. I'm not going to squat anything that I'm remotely worried about without spotters, because that's just dumb. But like today, I did a 275 for a set of 4. That was a little bit shaky. I was like, I jump between 290 and 300 is what it said on the plan. And I was like, well, stick in the middle, 295, 5 kilos more than last week, and actually just find that little bit extra and switch on that little bit more, because I don't have spots and I need to work hard and I know I can do it. And that's been great, kind of finding that confidence again to be able to just back myself on these things. And I've enjoyed it a lot. I think the prep has not found a new love, just booted the camera, not found a new love for powerlifting, but I think it's shown me that it doesn't have to be the be all end all for me. It doesn't have to be powerlifting is everything. Like, I still love it being a major part of my life, like competing in powerlifting, coaching powerlifting. I love coaching powerlifting, love competing in powerlifting. But that training aspect, where I've had to spend so many hours and so many weeks, days, years building this base for it. I've got a base. The base isn't going to go anywhere. As long as I keep training, I will still be able to pull decent numbers, not out of thin air, but with a decent couple of weeks behind it. Numbers will be there. And it's not this panic that, oh, I'm not, running the perfect 4-week microcycle or the 5-week microcycle. This should be a double instead of whatever it is, and getting really tied down in those details. I just need to train. And whatever I do for training, as long as there are some strength aspects. I mounted the curb, I thought it crashed into another car. As long as there's some strength aspects, I'm going to maintain a whole bunch of strength. And that's great to know. And I think I'm going to experiment with seeing how far away from that I can come to then come back. Maybe not too far, because the English is in May, and I'm still not quite ready to, say goodbye to being able to squat, 300 plus most blocks, but a little bit more of a focus on being more rounded, enjoying those things.